So what has Mr. Obama achieved during his short visit? Earlier, I spoke to Brendon O'Connor, an associate professor at the US Studies Centre at the University of Sydney. I began by asking him if Mr. Obama covered all the bases in his address to Parliament.
Yes, it was what I expected. Affirmation of the alliance, saying the alliance had never been stronger than it was at this point. Those familiar themes of American foreign policy, talking about freedom and democracy, but adding his own touch, this touch about fairness being important to America, and also talking about two multicultural societies which share similar values. These are probably things that we didn't hear in 2003 when Bush addressed the Parliament, but there are some familiar themes, this notion of America as a guardian of democracy and freedom in some ways in the world.
He spoke of a direct strategic decision to get more involved in the region. In fact, he said the US is a Pacific power and we are here to stay. How strong was that?
Well, the 20th century was often called the American century. I think this century, as the Americans are saying themselves, will be something more like an Asia-Pacific century. And this acknowledges that the Americans won't have it all their own way, that it will be a partnership with China to begin with as two great powers across the Pacific. So I suppose this recognises in some ways, with all the talk of American troops coming to Australia, that America in some ways is in a form of decline, not sort of a terminal decline, but in a relative decline.
And what do you make of this sort of twin-pronged announcement about reductions in the US military budget, but no reductions in military spending in our region?
Well, this just emphasises that this region is really where the action will be taken and where America will want to focus its attention. And this is probably the Obama sort of doctrine as if it is sort of emerging. He's really been cleaning up what the Bush administration did for the last 3 years. And I think if he gets re-elected or maybe into next year, we'll see really his own stamp on foreign policy.
And would this kind of speech win him votes back home, even if he does mention military reductions in spending?
Well, I think he's trying to tie it to jobs all the time. This notion that free trade leads to vitality in economies and leads to growth in jobs. And he has to do that because unemployment at 9% in the United States is the biggest problem he faces.
OK, Brendon O'Connor, thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.